You're listening to eCommerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company, powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder, and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
Well, welcome back to eCommerce Fastlane. I am your host, Steve Hutt. Now, picture this. Here's a little story for you. Imagine if you're spending $10,000 a month on ads and your traffic's pretty solid, but somehow, this happens a lot, you're barely breaking even. This happens a lot. I mean, being a merchant success manager at Shopify for so many years, like it's so interesting. It's really interesting during BFCM, during the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, when people are just cranking out the sales and they're okay with maybe a little bit of a lower margin. They don't realize net in the end, they're probably negative, even though they had this like stellar Q4. And I think this is really interesting. I guarantee this sounds very familiar with those listening. I think the hard truth is that there's a lot of Shopify merchants right now that don't realize that this is kind of the challenge that they have. I think a lot of brands are kind of obsessed more about getting more traffic. I think while their stores honestly are kind of bleeding money. And I think my guest likes to call it like revenue leaks. And today I'm chatting with Matt Stafford. He's the managing partner of a company called Build, Grow, Scale. They're at buildgrowscale.com. He's been in the trenches, I think, for almost 30 years, literally. Way back. I kind of creeped your LinkedIn profile, but literally pouring concrete to writing code. And really, Matt's really helped hundreds, probably I'm close to 1,000 now, of these e-commerce brands, really to help them scale to 7 and in some cases even 8 figures. And what makes him, I think, quite different, I mean, he'll speak on behalf of himself in a moment, but he really doesn't just look at conversion rates. He really digs into the psychology behind like why people buy and why people don't buy. And I think that's quite an interesting angle. He also, like him and his team, they find what he's going to call these hidden conversion killers. And I think it's costing a lot of money every month to a lot of businesses. And so I'm hoping to unpack a lot of that. End of the day, we're here to learn about how we can optimize our strategies and figuring out a way of how can we be more profitable. I think these revenue leaks are quite interesting, and I think a lot of people don't think about it. They're always top line, but there's so many other things to consider. So, hi, Matt. Welcome to eCommerce Fastlane.
Thank you. I'm excited to talk about this because I started off when I got into the e-com portion of it, learning how to run Facebook ads to t-shirt designs on a site called Teespring. And over the first 3 years of doing the t-shirts, we sold about $15 million of the t-shirts. So I sold a lot of t-shirts and ran a lot of traffic. And that was kind of what I was good at. And then we sold that platform and I moved on to Shopify. And right off the bat, we started selling kitchen appliances or kitchen gadgets like slicers and avocado tools. And we're selling, 100, 200 a day, doing really good. And then I didn't realize I didn't really have any website knowledge at the time. I just knew how to run traffic. And so I started adding all kinds of things to my site. And within a couple of months, that 100, 200 sales a day was down to 30, 40 on some days and maybe 100 on some, and it was profitable and then not profitable. And we had just made an order from China for a couple $100,000, and I was like, all right, I gotta figure this out or I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Oh man, thanks for that context. It's nice to know that that you're an actual practitioner, and there's nothing worse than getting advice from people that don't actually have done the work and know what it's like today. It's great to be on the agency side, which you're on now, and you get firsthand experience about what are people doing today and helping people execute at the best level. But then on the flip side, the anxieties of being a founder and what it takes to do well and to actually grow and scale. Which was interesting though, as I did research for today's recording, is that you say quite a bit, and you've done lots of podcasts and stuff, you say that most stores don't have a traffic problem. They have a conversion problem. And I think, these ad costs, when you talk about, I think they're crushing merchants right
100%.
now. It's insane. So what are you seeing when you audit a new store and their ad platforms, or just overall in their business? What are you seeing? What's the first steps you see? And then what do you do about it?
Yeah, great question. The reason why I say traffic's not your problem is because, and I'll just give you some context to it, because this is my aha moment. And it literally took me out of being a store owner for about 8 years before I went back into doing that, because I was running the agency. But I was looking at our own numbers and I was like, exactly how you let off. We're making all these sales, but we're not making any money. Why is that? And what I looked at when I started digging into my Google Analytics and the store was struggling, a friend of mine helped me who had some development skill, and he opened it up on his computer and it took I don't remember, some ridiculous number, like 11 or 12 seconds to load. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's super fast on mine. He goes, no, it's cached on yours. This is what everybody else is seeing. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know that. And so over the next 24 to 48 hours, he helped me, and we took it from that 11 plus second to like under 2 seconds. And instantly, all of a sudden, our numbers were much better. And I'm like, oh man, it's not the traffic, because I looked at my site before that and my bounce rate was like 70%. So I was thinking I was sending 1,000 people to my site and converting, 2% of them. But what I was really doing was only sending 300 and converting 2% of them, because the other 70% were bouncing. And I'm like, traffic's not the problem. If I have 100 people come to my site and only 2 people buy, I want to know why the 98 people left. And so if I can get 2 more of them, I just doubled my business. And that's a lot easier than doubling my traffic.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Amazon or who it was. I mean, back in the day, they always talk about, Amazon as at the largest scale from an e-commerce side of it, but they're saying that just like load times in general, they'd say like a 1 second improvement in load time can increase a conversion rate between 7 and 10%.
Yes.
Just 1 second.
And we found that. The site speed actually matters. And you got to remember, a lot of times when people are browsing, they're not always on Wi-Fi. So it's really the site speed when they're not on Wi-Fi that is where people are bouncing.
So interesting. And then, so let's talk about your framework, because you have quite a few frameworks. And I started going through some potential kind of topics for today. And I know that you describe websites like not as a catalog. Can you expand on that? Because it's so interesting, because you always think about adding products to your catalog and you don't call it that.
Yeah, typically more products doesn't make your site sell better. It makes it sell worse. It creates this paradox of choice. So we're always trying to see the majority of the early optimizations that we make is removing anything that's not being used, taking the 80-20. So you have 20% that's making 80% of the sales, making that a lot more visible, not hidden in the midst of all these other things. It's funny. People have like 2 products that sell 80% of their revenue, and they're not even in the main menu. They have something like shop, and it has every product. I'm like, no, you got to help people find what they're looking for, because we know that search traffic and filtered traffic on your site will convert twice as high as the site average and typically spend 2 to 4 times as much. So, we always ask, why is this working? What's making it work? Because we want to understand how we can replicate that in other places on the site. But really, what would be the reasoning behind such better metrics other than they were able to find what they were looking for? And so if you make it easy for them to find what they're looking for, they're going to spend more money and they're going to convert much higher. And so again, that goes right back to what I would say is easy navigation to find what they're looking for is a huge conversion metric.
I find too interesting, a lot of times some brands don't know where their traffic comes from. What's interesting is that, and they can be any parts of the funnel and they can come in at all different points. It's not top to bottom anymore from, awareness and consideration. And, it doesn't go in that necessarily in that way. And so knowing that, I used to recommend to do some like post-purchase kind of thank you page kind of questions. And I know this is kind of on your radar too. Is this something that you like to implement to understand about like, well, where is the traffic actually coming from? And then are there any questions that you like to potentially ask? And then how can you leverage some of that?
I will tell you, we work with about anywhere from 12 to 14 brands at a time that are doing a large volume, typically between 250,000 a month to 4 or 5 million a month. And so we have a lot of data. And that's what we use to teach other people the principles so that they can grow their stores and then, become a potential client. But the number one thing that we do very first on every brand we go to work with is we put a question on their thank you page. And the question is, what was the one thing that almost made you not buy? And so we want the people who just gave us money to tell us what was hard, what they didn't understand, where there was friction, all of that. And I can tell you probably 6 out of our 10 biggest wins have come from that question on the thank you page, where we go back, we fix it in the sales funnel or the store, and it literally generates millions of dollars. We have one brand that's doing about 60 million a year, and they sell off of a VSL. And we asked that question on the thank you page. We got 520 answers in 7 days, and 460 of them were the videos too long. And the owner's like, yeah, well, we can't shorten the video. We've tried that a million times. Every time we do that, we lose conversions. And we asked them, I asked them, when you watch a video, do you watch it on normal speed or do you speed it up? He goes, oh no, I definitely speed it up. I'm like, why don't you give them that option? It's obviously a problem if 460 of 520 responses is the video. And so we gave them the ability to speed it up. They got a 10% lift. That's a $6 million win.
Yeah. Oh, man. That case study's got to be on your website. That's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a big number. Most people can't really even fathom what
it's hard.
6 million is, but
yeah,
that's from traffic that they were already driving. That's not like you had to do a whole bunch of extra stuff. It was literally from day one. It just they've got a lift from it. And, those are the type of things that I like to do. I don't want tricks or hacks that work for a little while and then they stop working, because that's a grind. And so really, we've worked very hard to understand human psychology and the way that the people interact with the website. And that's really where what we do is very principle based. It's not what's working right now or what's a hack. It's how does someone actually interact with the website? How do we make it something that they trust? How do we not raise unanswered questions? Because I think that a big portion of the people that leave, it's not that they didn't want to buy from you. It's that they, one, either don't trust you, or two, they have unanswered questions. And I always tell everybody, your website is having a conversation with those people that you can't have. And so if it's not good at communicating, it's going to turn off a lot of people.
Yeah. What about the checkout flow itself? Because there's another area that I really worked with a lot of businesses in the past about this checkout optimization. I'd call it almost a silent killer, so to speak, because they've already started to go down that journey. A lot of times there can be some friction. I know Shopify's been trying to fix this with their one-page checkout.
They've definitely improved a lot over the last 2 years. I will tell you, back in the beginning, any optimization we did to the checkout had huge lifts. Now they've really optimized it enough that the changes that we make get incremental gains. So I think that that's good, because the majority of store owners don't really understand conversion rate optimization. And so thankfully Shopify has done a lot of things to improve that for them, and it helps the merchants without actually having to know everything. But I will tell you one thing that has never, ever not won and got us a lift, and that's by putting some text in the form fields. So 99.9% of every website I've ever went to, on the checkout, which is where the transaction takes place, that's literally where all the money is made. We put in, where you ask for the email, we put required for order confirmation. And that has reduced the form field errors under that section about 270%. So we have 3 times less errors by telling them why we want it. And we've never been able to beat that text, because, our reasoning was that email order confirmation is opened about 85% of the time. People want to know that what they ordered was right. And so they actually give you their best email. So the abandoned recovery is better. The form field errors are reduced. Just a whole bunch of things. Probably doesn't trigger fraud because of the lack of errors. We just always see a lift. We've seen as much as 17%. And it came from, I was reading a book by Robert Cialdini, and he had this experiment where people ask if they could cut in line. And 8 out of 10 people got turned away. So then they gave a reason. They said, hey, can I cut in line because my kids are going to be late for school? Hey, can I cut in line because I need to make these copies for my boss? Whatever it was, it didn't matter. If they gave a reason, now 8 and 10 were allowed to go in. So we used that information as, hey, let's just tell them why we want that and see if that improves it. And, even the results that we got from it were shocking to us. So then we worked on the phone because the SMS recovery turns into a huge revenue stream. So under the phone, we put phone required for shipping notification. And so those two things, putting that in the form fields, will give you a boost in your abandoned recovery. It'll give you a boost in your completions. And for us, just definitely in boost in conversions. We have had as much as 17% from it.
That's amazing. I know I can remember more like when we're talking about these kind of Shopify specific wins. And one thing that I would help people in their cart, I would say like there's some immediate kind of like easy to do optimizations, and there's more kind of advanced kind of like Shopify features that you can kind of implement and do. And a couple things that I highly recommend, I'm sure this is in your wheelhouse too, is enabling guest checkout. Number one, that removes all the account creation friction. And I think that has a huge effect on conversions. Turning on Shop Pay. I mean, Shop Pay is definitively like the number one accelerated checkout option, bar none, better than Apple Pay and, even Amazon Pay, all of these ones combined. Shop Pay is the one, and I think the Shop app kind of works together for your order tracking.
It didn't in the beginning, but it definitely over the last couple of years is by far like the number one best. Absolutely.
100%. I think, but then to argue that too, though, I think having multiple payment gateways upon checkout, having PayPal, having Apple Pay or Google Pay or whatever, I think you're just giving people, I always say there's this paradox of choice, but then some people just want to use Apple Pay because they got their credit card associated to it, and that's just what they want.
Yeah, what we do, we don't just say don't offer them. We go back and look at their stats. And to be honest, the only one that there's actually two that we would say don't use because we've never seen them work well. One is Google Pay. It's typically like less than 0.05% of any transactions. For some reason, Android users just don't use it like Apple Pay and Shop Pay. And then Amazon Pay. And the reason why we don't want them to use Amazon Pay is because the moment you introduce Amazon, most people will abandon the checkout, go see if it's on Amazon.
And go check if the price is lower.
And even if it's not, they got prime shipping, so they're going to have it in 24 hours or 48 hours. And so what happens is it actually cannibalizes their checkout, and then they don't have the data and they don't have the customer. So those two are the only ones that we don't recommend. And we wouldn't tell them to shut off Google Pay if we haven't looked at their reports and see that it's actually not performing. We never try to make a recommendation without looking at the data.
I see. So the other thing I'm thinking about too is about AI. It's on everybody's mind, and there's so many applications for it, from customer service to forecasting to, it's just everything, even content production. Even Shopify has the Shopify magic, and they're doing, I'm not working at Shopify anymore because of AI. And so it's so interesting. So from your perspective, like what are you telling brands right now to kind of future-proof themselves? Because AI is clearly reshaping everything and consumer behavior. People are going to ChatGPT now or Perplexity and Gemini, and they're researching there, and it's just like and now I think even Shopify even has connections now to OpenAI and now showing products from within and able to buy from within ChatGPT. I know we're early days on this right now, and this is like small potatoes in the traffic, but it's something that people need to think about. What's on your mind from an AI perspective today?
Yeah, two things. One, that you use it to do customer support. The good thing about it, and it didn't work well 2 years ago or even a year ago. But I take that back. Gorgeous has always done it very well. That's an app that plugs in, does customer service. Yeah. They have literally done a phenomenal job. I would recommend them over any customer service platform that you could use. The other thing is now you can put on chatbots that literally know your products, can answer any question, can really take care of the customer. They're never in a bad mood. They work 24/7. You can actually even describe the language and the humor level or the tone all of that. And they've gotten really good. We have one site that their customer service rating went from it was low, it was 35%, and took it up over to 90, 91, 92 by putting in a couple of, because it had a lot of technical stuff. And people just felt like they were put off by the regular people. The AI did such a good job. It literally changed their business because customer support was such a big deal. Yeah, I just think as a human, you get tired of answering the same question day after day, and you don't even realize that your tone has changed or your language is off-putting, where it just doesn't, you never have a bad day with a customer service bot that's set up properly. The second area that we use it for optimizations, it can analyze data way better than we can, because as humans, we analyze very linearly. So we're looking for, if all their Google Analytics, all their Shopify purchases, all their behavior, their reviews, everything is in a library, and we want to say, hey, how do we improve the reviews? We got to go read the book on reviews. Well, we can plug in AI now and feed it all of this information and then sit there and interact with it. And we've gotten fairly good, and this is a really dumbed down version of it, but essentially say, hey, our average order value is $100. We're converting at 2.5%. We want our average order value to be $130, and we want to convert at 4%. Can you build me a 90-day roadmap on what we would have to do using all this information to get us there? And the more and the better we get at asking it questions, it continues to bring us optimization ideas that we've never thought of in 10 years. And they're working, and it's getting better and better. So I really do believe we're training, GPTs to do that kind of work and create email flows based off of the buyer psychographics that they've left in their reviews. And it's just getting way, way, way better than what we can do all by ourselves. So I think garbage in, garbage out. If you give it a poor directions, it's not going to give you anything substantial. But so what I really see it as is a way to optimize your team, not to replace your team.
Yeah. I agree with you on the chatbots. So both I'm in total agreement on. I've interviewed actually the founder from Rep AI, and I know Rep has a really good connection with Gorgias. And I know that they love the fact that Rep has really doubled down, much more advanced than a lot. And there's Sendbird, and there's quite a few others out there that are attempting to solve this very similar problem. Rep seems to have a really nice tight connection with Gorgias, for automatic ticket creation. I guess when customers kind of interact with Rep, like the chat bot, these conversations can automatically be recorded, and then tickets are created in Gorgias. I just think just the operational efficiencies. That's the big one that I think about. The fact that, you can work around the globe, and it's always on, and it's always there. You don't have to have a live agent. You can transfer to a live agent as needed if it's available in your time zone. But if it's not, at least the bot is there to kind of at least be a helping hand as best they can. And if it can't, it has the proper workflow of creating a proper ticket, and then they get a confirmation back, and then things just kind of work, during the next business day.
Yeah, we have a brand that does just short of about $3 million a month. And their average order value is around that $70 to $80. So it's kind of lower. So there's a lot of tickets. And they went from, I think, 13 customer service down to right now they're around 5. And so it definitely has removed that, because just the sheer number of where's my order and all the different things and the macros that you can produce that will give automatic responses just required a lot less human interaction. And it's been amazing. For them, it was astronomical as to, what it drove to the bottom line just because of the efficiency.
Yeah. I'm going to pivot a bit too, and it's my question that I call the internal game, and I just would like to hear your thoughts about and I think you even say this in some kind of article that I read about, you say that, the biggest bottlenecks in business aren't on the page, they're the person. So can you break down what you mean by, most entrepreneurs think that they're thinking their feelings instead of, it's a really interesting article you had, but I'd love to hear more from your perspective.
Yeah. I really truly believe that there's not business problems, that there's people problems. And the reason why I say that is because if your business is struggling, I guarantee you I can go find another business that does exactly what you do that's not struggling. And so typically what I've noticed every time I invest in the 6 inches between my ears, my business does better. And it's not necessarily business knowledge. And really, I think what you're referencing is I believe most business owners think their problems, they don't feel their problems. And when they do that, their intuitive sense is basically hindered. So they make bad decisions. It's the same as if your analytics has garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. And so really, no matter what, business is people doing business with other people. And so as long as you don't have that part of it dialed in, your business is going to suffer. And so I actually coach several of our clients, and we talk about a lot of things that have nothing to do with business, but their business continues to thrive and do better and better the more grounded and centered they are. And really, it came from my own journey. I'll be a little bit vulnerable here. I had a really rough childhood growing up. It was very violent. And so I developed a lot of unhealthy stories. And I've been self-employed ever since I graduated school. And so really, like you said in the beginning, about 30 years. And no matter how successful the businesses were that I've built, I always found a way to feel undeserving or still feel broken. And in that journey, when I started describing that to other business owners, I realized there was a really central theme that most business people have similar paths or have, had some really strong challenges that they've overcome. And so I kind of went after that same way I have with the website. I'm like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. Why is that true? And so, trauma is the definition is a feeling of loss of control. Well, when in business do you ever feel like you're in control? You're always putting out fires. You're always changing. I think business is the ultimate inner game. It's going to show you where you're not showing up or where you're not performing well enough and where you have to improve. And so if you get good at doing that on a personal level, it makes business a lot more fun and a lot less challenging, and it allows you to be much better at it.
Yeah. This is amazing. So one thing I've also learned too about kind of going through the Build, Grow, Scale website is that, and I know we're not here to kind of pitch some products. We're here really to talk about and just offer any advice we possibly can. But it's interesting that, you do have the option for those that are listening that, hey, there are some done for you services that are available for those that, that are in a certain sweet spot. And that's kind of where they're at. I think you even have some mentorship options. I mean, maybe this is kind of an opportunity. I'm just curious, kind of like what might be out there. Because I think what's interesting is you clearly have like the knowledge and the scale to be able to help people in either just using live like resources off the website in real time, or even getting into more, like done for you or mentorship side. So maybe if you can share some ideas for those listening today.
Yeah. So our team is about 35 people, and our goal isn't to keep growing bigger. It's just to deal with better clients. And so really, we provide a lot of free resources. We'll give you our very best information. Our goal is, some people want to do it themselves. Some people want to learn it. And our goal is to give them that information so they can grow and eventually be at a size where we could potentially work together if that works. And if it doesn't, then that's okay too. But yeah, the one thing that I'm going to say is 2 things that I see consistently from brands that do very well. And we work with some that do very, very well. And that is they have amazing customer service. And 2, they know their numbers. They have good data. They can make decisions based off of what's actually happening on the website, not what they think is happening. And when you have those 2 metrics, you have the ability to grow and scale, and you can do it at very predictable levels.
Yeah, this is amazing. Knowing your numbers goes back to exactly what we talked about earlier about the fact that you can have all these sales and not realize how much money you're bleeding just because you don't understand your cost of goods. You don't understand a lot of it. You just kind of see top line and you don't really think about all the other parts and costs, the true P&L of being profitable and the LTV that comes out of it. I mean, it's fair enough that, acquisition costs are expensive. Like I totally get it on paid ads. But the thing was like, what is your retention and loyalty opportunities? Like, is that available? Are you working that? Like, how are you getting the second sale? How are you communicating with your customers if they bought these shoes that they might want this other accessory?
Yeah. Are you building a relationship with them? Because if you're just, it's amazing how many people I see have a huge email list and they won't email them. They're like, oh, I'm afraid they're going to unsubscribe, or I don't want them to think I'm talking to them too much. I'm like, don't email on the days you don't want to make money. Otherwise, talk to them, build a relationship with them. Yeah. If you have no relationship with them, when they get ready to buy their next pair of shoes, they're not going to think about you. And the truth of the matter is the people that are emailing consistently, and it's not just buy my stuff, it's providing value. And some people go, I just don't know what to write. Well, now with AI, there's plenty of ways that you can come up with very creative ideas to have content that doesn't suck, that's not buy my stuff.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I guess my last kind of parting comment that I'd like to hit home with a few people that are listening, and I love your feedback on it, is that with AI overviews that are happening right now, I know we dabbled a bit, asked this question, but with AI overviews and people using a lot of these chat tools now, if it's ChatGPT or Perplexity or Gemini, and they're doing a lot of pre-researchy type things, like what's on your mind today around the well-established kind of SEO world and the metadata and all the basics of being found, having the experience and the expertise and authoritativeness and trustworthiness, all the things that Google wants. I think things are shifting a bit now. It's not all about content production. I think there's other things at play here now. I want to hear your mindset of kind of like, what are you doing about it?
Read an article probably 2 days ago that was talking about where these large language models are actually getting their data to make these recommendations. And they analyzed it and they did a big report. And the top two sources were Quora and Reddit. So getting your content inside of a forum thread like those, or finding a way to get your business in there, they said that raises your chances of the large language models recommending you exponentially. So really just understanding, I do think that it's a way to kind of shortcut the SEO of brands that have been winning forever. And now that are too big to pivot, you can kind of sneak in there and get a lot done. And we have some of our other brands doing that. We're not really SEO experts by any means, but our goal is to be knowledgeable enough to give good recommendations to the owners that we have. And the other advantage that we really have is a rising tide raises all ships. And what I mean by that is, we're dealing with 14 or 15 very high level entrepreneurs that are constantly bringing us ideas that they've read or that they've seen or that they've talked about in forums. We get to test it on their store. And then when we find wins, we get to share it across our network of sites and then also share with people that, we're teaching. And so in that mode of, it doesn't just rely on us being the smartest. And, I always ask the question, well, what if I wasn't smart? And that allows me to open my mind to a lot of new ideas instead of just believing what I know is already the best, because I believe that there's a lot of people a lot smarter than me that are constantly coming up with new ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole idea about these, I guess my thought is about these chatbots and stuff like that and OpenAI and just the connection with Shopify. I think it's opening up a whole nother opportunity, a more, I call it even a distribution channel, because, the Shopify merchants, there's so many of them, but then so many people are using ChatGPT. I don't know, like 800 million or a billion users are using ChatGPT, knowing that your products can now be listed from your Shopify store, can be inside like their kind of conversational interface is so interesting to me how it works. And I know it's early days. Even looking at my own analytics right now, I can see that, one of the referral traffic, it's number 4 for me. I have direct, which is typical. People just know who you are. Google, Bing, so that's the Yahoo group, and then DuckDuckGo for all who knows what's going on there with their privacy kind of like search engine. But then ChatGPT above Yahoo.
Yeah.
So it shows you where referral traffic is actually coming from. So it's something that if there are some AI takeaways for today too. I think it's just like you have to immerse yourselves in being okay with the unknowns, and it's okay to appreciate what Shopify has done with OpenAI and kind of getting that thing organized. But I think it's just building a brand, and like you said, know your numbers and have great customer service, and it's a really good starting point.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, this is lovely. Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know you have to hop to your next call, but it's really good. I've been on page 2 of notes. I know it's always a good episode when I have to take lots of notes because it's a life of learning I have, and you clearly are an expert in your field, and you're clearly here to help. I read even some of the case studies. Even, gosh, on your homepage, there's a really great case study and a great video from Drew from Organifi. Interesting story, and if you haven't watched the video, I'm going to put it in the show notes about incredible amount of incremental lift that you guys have done. So kudos to you. Thank you for putting your flag in the sand and helping brands any way you can through, like, I guess, on-page content that you have here, plus done-for-you services and mentorship. It's just, thank you so much for being there when customers actually need help.
Yeah,
so.
Thank you. I literally get up excited to go to work every day. My mind loves to take complex problems and simplify them or figure it out and solve the problem. And so there's an endless supply of that. I'll never be out of work.
I know, right? Oh, this is great. All right. Well, have yourself a lovely afternoon, and thanks for recording today.
Thank you, Steve.
All right. Take care. Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you personally for being a loyal listener of eCommerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company powered by Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.